Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's me, Chris Army, with the shorter version and more retrospective look and review at Franchise Hockey Manager 6. We've run through about 8 seasons in total. 5 seasons, I believe, maybe 6 seasons on the Avalanche save itself, and a few more elsewhere just to see how the game works in a variety of settings, in a variety of ways. With a focus on a few areas, which is why the Avalanche series has been a little unusual, the way we've been playing it. And I'll get to that. I will get to that. So, where we left off on our review, and we do want to make this a fairly short look. I'm just going to load up America and Canada into there, because we are setting up, while we're talking, we are setting up for our own new series which will be coming, and there will be an intro video on that to come very soon. So let me just there we go. We just set up a little bit. Start on July 1st, randomize. It's going to be another GM mode, and we're going to start as unemployed. Yeah, we're going to start as unemployed. We're going to start as very basic, to not give ourselves the advantages. Now, basically, starting with all these different stats set up in certain ways, and there's a number of things you can do, but the way I've been doing it really works well for me in the way I like to play. And playing as a GM only means we can largely ignore the head coaching stuff. So really, we're just throwing a ton of points over on this side anyway. But that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Right. So, where we left off in our review, we liked the game. We've played every version so far. Each iteration since the beginning has been, in my opinion, a fairly decent step in the right direction. I think one was disappointing because I think we'd built up this picture of what it could be and it didn't get there. And it was an unrealistic picture. It was an unrealistic picture. So that's on us, not on Out of the Park. So, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. 2 felt like the game we wanted 1 to be. But we never acknowledged that 1 was the important step forward. So, we move on to 3, and I think the game's a lot better than FHM 2. It's somewhere in between where I would have thought 2 and 3 would have been, so it kind of catches up to itself, and by the time we hit 4, it's a big step forward, and I'm starting to think that, yeah, now we're back on track. This is where I thought the 4th game should be. The 5th game, again, very good development, very good step forward. And as I say, each iteration has taken that step forward, and so has 6. Quality of life, if nothing else, has been vastly improved. I'm not a fan of all the changes in general. I like the way the expansion, you could expand the league and add teams in. The other way, I don't like the look and the feel of it right now because it's in a place where I just don't really care for it, but it probably is more streamlined. It was just nice having a special button to do an expansion and set up a team. Rather than have to do it, set it up, and then go in and edit the team to put in the details that you were asked for before. That's just kind of how that is, I guess. I guess that's just how that is at the moment. So, this save will be coming up fairly soon to the channel. We were kicking things off. Like I say, it will be to start unemployed. It will be to pick up a team and play as that team. Whether or not we basically take something that we've been offered or heard about in the news, or whether we jump right into the NHL, I don't know. It's not automatically gonna be a Colorado save, which I like to default to because I know the Colorado Avalanche really well, and of course, I love them, and they're in such a good position right now. It's a lot of fun to play with those kind of resources, with Bowen Byram, Sam Girard, Cale Makar, Connor Timmins at the back end, Grubauer, Ingnet, McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog, Kadri, Burakovsky, Donskoy, JT Comfort, Tyson Jost, and a bunch of other youngsters like Martin Kaut, who, again, we just got a lot of fun pieces to play with. But I'm not automatically going to do that. So yeah, I do think that trading is way too OP. I still think it's way too OP. The fact that they protect basically the top 10, top 12 picks in each draft, and that team will not trade them whatsoever, it takes away a little bit of that OP-ness, but I can still get, if I really wanted to, still putting out a President's Trophy winning team every year. I could still net myself, I think, 5 to 6 first-round picks, of which 3 would probably be lottery picks. And in the best case scenario, I would be drafting, after winning the Stanley Cup, with a President's Trophy team, I could be drafting 1, 2, and 3. So I really think they need to do some work on that. Rivalries don't seem to play a part as well, because I did win the Stanley Cup and draft first overall with Minnesota's first-round pick that year. We'd actually traded for it the year before, or 2 years before, when they made the playoffs. So it wasn't arbitrarily protected by the game. However, when it got round to that season, they finished dead last, and nobody won the lottery, or they won the lottery with the highest odds, so they held number 1 overall. So I drafted a young centre, Connor Bedard, who looks like a great two-way player, future second-line centre, probably. We signed him up first overall as the President's Trophy Stanley Cup winning team with the Minnesota Wild's first overall pick. Our rivals. So, yeah, there are still issues. Which means if you really want a more realistic approach, you're going to have to handicap yourself on the trading side of things, and the free agency side of things as well, because both are far too easy to assemble a great team with. I mean, just like real life, there are those big free agents which come available. It's very hard to lay off them. And the season after we took Minnesota's first overall pick with Colorado and won the Stanley Cup President's Trophy, first overall pick Connor Bedard with our rivals pick. The next season, in free agency, sitting there for $13 million a season, was Austin Matthews. And I picked him up on free agency as a President's Trophy Stanley Cup retaining team. So 2 seasons, first overall pick for Connor Bedard, second line center of the future. Who knows? Maybe he's a first liner, maybe he's a superstar. Who knows? But he looks like a good, solid two-way player. If nothing else, I can put him on the wing. So, but yeah, 2 President's Trophy teams win the Stanley Cup, and with their rivals' number 1 overall pick up an absolutely great first overall pick. And then the next season, in a similar situation, in free agency. Not only that, but we drafted 7th and 8th, by the way, thanks to the lottery picks. 7, 8, and 17. Really tried to stack it as much as I could, and, well, not as much as I could, but within a realistic approach. And yeah, we got 7, 8, and 17 as our draft picks, and not only that, in free agency, we land Austin Matthews. So be careful in the draft, be careful in free agency, because the game might lose some of its luster when you are that dominant, that quickly, and able to sustain it for that long. So yeah, there is that to worry about. Some of the staff that get generated want way too much money for their abilities. Some have great abilities as well, but they, they're way above the pay scale for even the best at that job in free agency. So there is that issue with generating staff. There are the picture issues, which I've tried a number of ways to get going, but for some reason we're only showing up a fraction of the thing. A couple of bugs in there. So yeah, there's that aspect. Those are kind of the bad sides there. Other things I wish were different were the rules for the expansion draft are set up correctly. You know, you protect 1 goalie, 3 defenders, and 7 forwards. I don't believe that you're allowed to switch to the, 8 or 9 from anywhere, which in real life you are, but you're stuck with the 1-3-7, and that's okay. Everybody's on a level playing field, and that's fine. But in a real draft, in a real expansion draft, you are set to lose 1 player. So even if you unprotect 6 players, you know you're going to keep 5 of them. Not in the game. Not in the game. In real life, yes, but not in this game. Just like FHM 5, there are no limitations on players taken apart from a minimum set of wages, a maximum set of wages, and the fact that they draw 35 players from free agency and every other team in the league. Now, in real life, it's 1 per team, and Seattle coming in will draft 30 players, 1 from each team, except Vegas, who are a recent expansion team themselves. So they're excluded. Same exclusions apply in-game with players that are first or second year players or all the rest of that. Say the numbers that you need to protect, but you're going to lose multiple players. If you've got a really deep team, you're going to lose multiple players. And that sucks. That does suck. Especially for the save idea I've got, because there will be expansions again. But that, I don't like that. The fact that Seattle's not set up as an expansion, I know there's not enough details really to do it. But they could have randomized it. Randomized like 6 different uniforms, 6 different names, 6 different color schemes, which are going to be based around green. We pretty much know that because it's Seattle. Like blues and greens and that kind of color, they really suit. And you've got a bunch of history and speculation over names like totems and the emeralds and etc. There's a way of doing it. They've decided not to until we learn the full details. Fair enough. But I would like to see it there. So we're going to have to do that and then deal with the expansion draft, which is just set up wrong. So I'm a little bit upset with that. The other thing that I'd really like to see, and we've been waiting for a couple of years, and we don't think is likely to come, is a draft lottery. No, there is a draft lottery in game. Yes, it's behind the scenes. You don't get to see it. You don't get to watch it. You don't even hear about it if you turn off a lot of your settings. And I am going to turn off a lot of my settings. I normally set up somewhere like that. Now, perhaps if I left the NHL on, it would tell me about its draft expansion rules, and it would tell me about its drafts and the lottery and everything like that. I don't play with that. I still should get those messages through, though. I still get the Hall of Fame messages through, so I should still get the draft lottery if I'm managing in the NHL. Even though I don't want to know about the NHL, I should still get that through. Especially if I'm holding a pick that's a lottery pick. I should get that message, even with everything else turned off, because I don't like the spam of the mail. Personal preference. Yeah, that's a little bugbear. Also, I want to see it on screen. I want a little screen of teams, like 1 through 10 here, with the names. And then either we wait and it simulates it itself. There could be a start-stop button, or there could be a simulate first pick, simulate second pick, simulate pick, simulate all picks, or a little end lottery, which just takes you out of it and shows you what the results. No, it doesn't show what the results are. I don't know. I don't know how they went through it, but just something of interaction where you get to the draft lottery, you see the list of teams and numbers, and then all of a sudden you click a button which says next pick, or lottery pick 1. I don't know how you want to set it up, but then the Maple Leafs are suddenly up at number 1. You're like, wow. And next to that, 10, or maybe in colors, like they'll be green in 10 and everybody else will be red for moving down. So teams that move up, they'll jump up to the top list, become number 1, it'll be in green. I don't know. There's ways of doing it. But the draft lottery is such a big thing, and it occurs in April, early April, and, the draft's not till mid-late June, and yet in game, the lottery's on the 21st of June, and the draft's on the 22nd. I get why, but it's not realistic. I want to know if I've got a shot at the top guys or not, so I can actually scout for those 2 months, and whether or not I really want to concentrate on the top guys or the back end guys, depending. Do I look at a mid-rounder? Do I look at someone that's maybe in 10th, if I got the 15th overall pick? Do I look there and hope the 10th, 11th, 12th will fall to me? Or suddenly, that doesn't matter if I'm number 1. But if I knew a month or 2 ahead of times, then we could get there. And of course, that could always pop up, or it could only pop up if you've got a lottery pick again. So I'd like to see that added. That's something I feel is missing and needs to be reworked. The trading system needs to be reworked. The expansion draft rules, the limitations of 1 per team, I think should be enforced. I think that's just, for some reason, an oversight that shouldn't be allowed. I hope they fix that. And then actual bugs, the glitches, the new staff generation, some of the draft classes as well for the entry draft, where you'll always get a great number 1 center going number 1 or number 2, which maybe not be that realistic. There's a real sort of lack of top-end goalie prospects coming through, which again might be realistic, but it hurts the simulation long-term as well if they don't come through often enough. So over a 10-year period, 15-year period, you need 30 plus for the NHL to be starters. Otherwise, not every team's going to have a starting caliber goalie. And that's not the case. In fact, some teams have not only 1 right now, but they have 2 behind that could turn into them. So when you're looking at 2 to 3 deep across the league in many places, and 1 deep at worst, the fact that we're not getting 2 starting goalies a year in each draft means that will change for the worse. So, again, the spawn rates for the draft class, I think, need to be tweaked slightly. But yeah, I have seen positional drafts where left defenseman's the way to go. It was the last draft for the Avalanche. The top 3 were left defensemen. I think 5 out of the top 10 were defensemen, all left defensemen. Inside the top 100, I believe 40 players were left defensemen. It was stacked. Of course, of the remaining 60, another 30 were centers. Because there's always centers, which is a good thing, but If you're not doing it for goalies, why are you doing it for centers? Yeah, and why are they always centers? Why are they always centers? There's always more centers than other players. Maybe a draft would be top heavy. There'll only be 3 good players, and they're all sort of 2 left wingers and a right winger. But if you go out to the first round, there's going to be more centers taken than anything else, apart from in those rare occasions where a defenseman will go, and you'll get a run on defenseman. So, a little bit weird there. Overall, though, really good. Overall, still a really good game. The tactical side of things, the head coaching stuff, I really like. We had to play around with those. A little bit difficult for me because I don't know that side of hockey very well. But I'm learning, and it's not that complicated in the game. There's depth and there's layers and layers and layers. It's not too complicated to understand, but it is a complicated system that you need to do each step of. But yeah, overall, a really good system. And you're not able to cheat the system by just playing offense, which I've done previously. And I tried to do in Colorado, try and steamroller it. And you still win, but there's many more 50-50 coin flips. With a team that I had, I should dominate everybody. It's just that we had very few good defensive-minded players. We had offensive defensemen, we had speedy sniping wingers, we had, big dangling goal-scoring centers. What we didn't have was power forwards and checkers and grinders and that kind of aspect. We didn't have the tough forwards so much, especially on the 3rd and 4th line. They were a bunch of 18-year-olds that would be a top line somewhere else in the future. So, you're not able to do that now. You've got to have a balanced team. You've got to play two-way hockey. You've got to guard the back end. So, yeah. Again, that's my weakness, not the game's weakness. And I like the fact that it's there to keep me honest. But a lot of other stuff isn't. And then there's some quality of life stuff like assigning player numbers. In previous times, when you're loading up the list of available numbers, it used to take like 5-10 seconds to load the list. Now it's instant. Now, when you're clicking, such and such one's 13, but it belongs to such and such. Okay. You'd click on the numbers, you hover over the numbers, and wait for it to expand, and you'd be like, come on, here we go. And now we're in the list. Okay, one's 13, 14's available. There you go. No, it simply is. Okay, blah, blah, blah. One's 13, belongs to him. Okay, hover over, select new number, done. Quality of life. Little fixes that annoyed me in the past have been done now. So, I'm okay with that. So, sounds only in the games. That's okay, that's all you need them. They're very basic sounds, but I'm not much for one anyway. If you're looking for more sort of stuff in that direction, I don't know. Listen to music, a podcast, YouTube video in the background, whatever you want to do, that's what I do. Audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube videos in the background. Why not? Twitch streams. You can find me over on twitch.tv/ChrisArmy or here on YouTube as well. Both of which will be important in a minute. So yeah, overall, like I say, some not important to me, but what they've done well. Graphics, they've done well, apart from this little picture glitch, which I do expect to get fixed at some point, and I'm probably going to reinstall the game and see if that fixes it my end, because it might just be something my end. We will see on that. But graphically, it looks as good as it needs to. It sounds as good as it needs to when it needs to. Customization, options, like the number of, let's say this is a bit broken at the moment, but apart from that, it's fine. Online, pretty good as well. Not really dived into that full force yet. International play, not for me, but I've heard that's really good in this version as well. One thing that does annoy me is the international players being away at the start of the season every now and again, so I've got to hire a bunch of rubbish free agents just to finish out pre-season. I don't like that, mainly because I don't usually have an AHL team. I trade my assets for draft picks and then get younger. So, again, that might just be the way I play the game rather than how you're expected to play the game. So I don't have a huge problem with that either. And it's quick. It's quick to simulate seasons. Couple of hours will get you all the way through. And that's, doing a lot in free agency and at the draft and trading, claiming people from waivers, all that kind of work. Hiring, firing staff. Still may only take you like an hour, hour and a half to simulate the regular season and the playoffs and do a bunch of other stuff. So, if you want to go quick, you can go quick in this game. That's what I like. Leagues around the world, there's so many. It is absolutely unbelievable. You can see there the level of depth we're getting into. I do disagree with some of the player ratings. I may be biased on a couple of them, but players like Cale Makar still play well, still simulate well, but him, Rantanen, I believe, doesn't simulate as well as he should and looks a bit worse than he should compared to other players in that position. I don't think there's a young, say, under 21-year-olds or 21 and younger right-handed defenseman that I'd be willing to trade Makar for. There shouldn't be one in the world. There's about 5 or 6. There shouldn't be more than, say, 3 or 4 right wingers under the age of 25 first liners right now that I would trade Rantanen for. But there are. I just don't feel they're well represented in game enough. A couple of those I think are overrated, and that goes as well for other teams. There are players that are overrated and underrated. I don't like how Connor McDavid pretty much wins the Hart every season. I don't get it. I don't get it. He's won it once in real life. He hasn't won it since. He's always in the voting, making top 3, top 5 every year, great. But the fact that he's number 1 every year, despite the wealth of talent, until we get through 5, 6 seasons, and then other players have stepped up. Or on my ultra-stacked team, McKinnon basically shaded him a couple of years and just fell behind and just went ahead a couple more years. And that's not on a very, very good Oilers team either. So, yeah, overall, I have some issues with the player ratings. But it's still a highly realistic hockey sim where you can have fun, you can play historical mode, you can play custom games, you can play a multitude of leagues in your way, set up your expansions, create players to add in to see how they perform. There's so much to this game. It is my favorite sports game out there at the moment, and it's not even close right now. Out of the park baseball, I'm not a huge fan of baseball as much as I am anyway with ice hockey. I'm a fan of baseball, I'm a fan of the Rockies, Colorado, Denver, they're my teams. So Rapids, Rockies, Nuggets, Avs, Broncos, RIP Broncos right now. But, I'm not a huge, huge fan of baseball. But I love out the park baseball. But I am a huge fan of ice hockey in the NHL. And the Avs are playing really well right now. So my interest is really in there as well. And this goes such a long way to putting me in charge of the Avs the way I'd want to be in charge of the Avs. And there's a lot to be said for that. Fan service, quality of game, quality of life, long-term play, replayability. It's all here in spades. It's my favorite sports game out there. And it's not even close, guys. Once again, for me, they've knocked it out of the park. Pun intended, but they've knocked it out of the park. They really, really have. And there's a reason why the game's been out for the short time it is, under a month. And I've racked up what, like 10 seasons in all play and put 6 of those seasons online for a YouTube series and about to kick off a new YouTube series. There's a reason for that. It plays quick, it does what I wanted to do, and I have a lot of fun. I have not put this down since the day I got it. And the day I got it, I put the long review up. So let's wrap up this review portion and get on to portions 2 and 3 very briefly at the end. But yeah, highly recommended. I don't know what you expected, but this is highly, highly recommended. I love it. I love it. They knocked it out the park. My favorite game out there at the moment. And I can't wait for this new series. Like I say, the level of sort of customization, even during games, is huge. And that's a big thing for me as well. But if you haven't got this, go get it. If you want it and you can't afford it, then check the description box below. If you expand that, there'll be a link there to enter into a competition. I have 2 copies of this game to give away, thanks to the people over at Out of the Park Developments. So yeah, go check out that via Gleam, sign up. You can sign up through Twitter or through your Gmail or a number of different ways, Twitch I believe as well. And then there's a number of tasks to do, which will be stuff like a retweet or follow me or Out the Park on, or FHM on Twitter, and watch a YouTube video and share this with your friends. And a bunch of tasks, net you a bunch of points depending. Those are your entries into the competition. In a week's time, we'll be wrapping up that competition, and those entries will be randomly picked by Gleam. First 2 names out the hat, I will be contacting. So make sure you've got a way of contacting you there, either a Gmail, so I can email you and let you know that you've won and here's your code, or via Twitter. One or the other, preferably Twitter. It makes things easier my way. And then I can DM you for that. So that's step 2. I told you it'd be quick. Nice little wrap up there, 2.5 minutes. Give away 2 copies, FHM6 on Steam. Hit me up. Let me know what you want to see about this game on the channel as well. But that leads into step 3, because I know the next thing up for me on the channel, we're going to finish off the Colorado save. I want to do a dynasty with 2 Stanley Cups in. 3 in 3 years is going to be, huge. So why not set that up? But we're coming towards the end of that one. So, new save on the horizon. It's going to be an expansion game. I don't know what we're going to do. This is what we set up earlier. Whether or not we jump in with a certain team, or whether or not we decide to start unemployed like we have done and pick another team. I don't know. But the end goal for that is to get 9 teams in each division. And for those of you that watched my playthroughs on FHM 5, no surprise. We're reorganizing the divisions. Hartford and Quebec go back in, and they're in the Metro. We're splitting up a bunch of teams. The Atlantic now looks like this, and all 9 teams are already together. But there'll be 7 to start with in the Metro. There'll be 7 to start with in the Central, and we're bringing back the Atlanta Thrashers. 3rd time's a charm, guys. And Houston, the biggest market in North America, without a major sports team. Gotta be done. I mean, I know they got the Astros, but they're not a big player in a lot of sports, and they should be. I'll be very surprised if they don't get an expansion pretty soon. I've got to be honest, the way they're setting up. So Seattle, Las Vegas, of course, have been put in. But Seattle will go in as the first team, complete the Pacific. The Atlantic will be complete. And then we'll have a 7-team Metro and a 7-team Central that we're adding teams to as the years go on. So Who's going to be added end of season 1 and so forth, I don't know. But that's how it's going to look. Those are the teams going in. I'm very tempted just to play as Seattle. I'm very tempted to play as Seattle. And we're in July 1st, which means in commissioner mode now, we can actually go in, change up the number of games and everything else, which I think we're going for 84. I believe I'm going for 84. So 6 division games against your 8 opponents. Then 2 in the other division within your conference, which would be 9 teams each, which is another 18. So that'll take you up to 48 and 18 is, 66? And then play everybody in the other conference once a season. So there's another 18. That would take you up to 84 games. So a small increase in the season by adding 4 new teams. 5 if you include Seattle. That would take us up to 36 total teams, 9 in each division, 18 in each conference. I kind of like that idea. And we're also going to round out with a bunch of handicaps as well in our own abilities to do the job. So 3 manual trades per season, because manual trading is a little bit broken. I can get a lot more out of it than I should. And even rivalries don't sort of handicap me there. Being rivals with the Wild didn't make it any tougher to get their first round up, which it really should have. I think even divisional and in conference should be a little bit more difficult than trading in and out of another conference. But that's just me. So 3 manual trades. I'm going to designate 1 player each season at the start of the season. Designate 1 player that is untouchable until retirement. But it's going to have to be a good player. So if we don't have a good player, then I don't. So 1 player that's untouchable. So if I was taking over Colorado, of course, it'd be Nick McKinnon. McKinnon would be there until he retires, rather than being able to trade him away. Maybe Cale Makar. Maybe if you were Toronto, then you're looking around, you're like Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews. Like, who do I protect and say that I cannot trade this person away? So until retirement, 1 player will be untouchable. As well as that, I'm going to limit the draft picks because it's way too OP if you get multiple early draft picks. And I'm not going to limit myself too much. But we're going to have maximum of 2 first rounders each year. We're going to have a combined 3 picks in the first and second rounds. If I got 2 firsts, I'm only allowed a second rounder. If I got 1 first, I'm allowed 2 seconds. If I got no firsts, I can have 3 seconds. And then 5 between rounds 1 and 3. So again, similar. Only 2 can be firsts. I can have 3 within the first and second round combined. And 5 within the first, second, and third round combined. 4th round on, as many as I want. But that's the idea for the save. That's what I'm going to be setting up within this world that we created. If you haven't got FHM yet, enter the giveaway. I'll see you on the new series very, very soon. We'll round up the Colorado one. But in the meantime, hit me up on Twitter at Chris Orme. Follow me here if you haven't and you're enjoying the content on YouTube. There'll be more, as I say, coming very soon with a new series. Hit me up with comments as well. What you want to see, what you don't want to see out of the new series. Ideas for a new expansion teams. One per division that we had set up to get 40 teams total. 10 per division. We'll see how that all works. But yeah, let me know on all that. And as I say, get this game. Enter the giveaway if you can't afford it. But if you can, just put the money down. You're going to get your money's worth out of this. This is something you could play 500 hours, 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours by the time the new version comes around. It is that addictive, it is that good, it is that in-depth, and I've only scratched the surface of this. And I'm still, like, only playing in the NHL, only really playing as Colorado, only playing as a GM, not even playing the head coach stuff. And I'd still be willing to pay $50 for this game. That's just how good I think it is. So, that's going to be me. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. As always, my name is Chris Orme. Thank you very much for being here. Check out the other content coming up soon. Until then, y'all take care.